Hey, what's up? It's Roller Coaster Rider, and if you couldn't guess what I was going to review last time based on my hint about saying that it was a park with a less than stellar safety record, welcome to Mount Olympus Water and Theme Park in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. This is another park I've had either, I guess you could say, either the fortune or the misfortune of visiting, depending on how you feel about it. I went to this park first in 2003, and that's when the Triton, or then it later got renamed Dive to Atlantis, was under construction and not being built. That was probably my best time there because there wasn't a lot of people there. I then went back in 2005, and it was a complete cluster. I then went again in 2009 because I needed to ride the OPA coaster, and yes, I survived. And then I went again in, I don't know, I think 2014, 2015, somewhere around there, because I wanted to ride Hades 360. It seems every time I go to this park, I have less and less enjoyment, and it gets worse and worse. This is a park that caters more towards buying hotels than it does buying amusement rides or capacity or safety regulations. You've probably already heard the story about OPOD, their spinning wild mouse coaster, where someone fell out and cracked his head. There's another story out there of someone uh, who got sent without the restraints up and not pushed down. Seriously, Mount Olympus? Seriously. Mm-hmm. Then there was another story, and someone will, I'm sure, post it, or yeah, someone will post it, about the slingshot ride where just before it got launched, the cable snapped. This is very inexcusable and very dangerous for anything. So, and the owner is very cheap. I'll just put it that way. I'll I'll get into one of the examples as to how cheap he is later on because that's my number five. But anyway, this park is in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. It used to be It used to be two to three separate properties. Before it was Mount Olympus Water and Theme Park, it was Big Chief Carts and Coasters. The water park section, which is called Neptune's Water Park, I believe, used to be called used to be called Family Land Water Park, and the Medusa Bay Indoor Water Park used to be called Bay of Dreams. Let's get started. Oh, and by the way, I don't expect Mount Olympus to do any of these things because they are all things that are high capacity and smart investments. This is the park where I'm just doing this top five just for fun. Yes, I expect Disney to take my advice before Mount Olympus. Let's begin. Number 5. A second train for Hades 360. The ride was clearly designed to have multiple trains. The ride is over 4,500 feet long and is warrant of two trains. The capacity on one of those trains is 24 riders, and trust me when I say that line just crawls. When it opened in 2005 as simply Hades, you probably won't be shocked right now, but it only had one train. And guess what? The waits were long. Dive to Atlantis actually had the longest waits ever. If you ever Google a picture of it, that ride was about 5 minutes long and it had a maximum capacity of 6 people. The park needs to do this. I'm sorry. Uh, the reason why the Hades 360 only runs one train is because here's basically what the owner said was, well, when you buy two trains, you have to maintain two trains. That is either extremely bold, extremely daring, or he's an extreme jerk. I haven't met him, but if that's his mentality, then why should you feel safe at this park if he doesn't even want to maintain 2 trains on a coaster? That's a little disturbing if you ask me. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. I would like to see them add a second train to Hades 360. It's long enough to warrant 2 trains, and I think the owner should just suck it up and buy that second train and maintain both trains. Number 4. Remember when I said earlier that this park used to be called Big Chief Karts and Coasters? What do you think of? That's right. You think of many coasters, and you think of many go-kart tracks. Now, it's Mount Olympus Water and Theme Park. What do you think of? That's right. Waterpark coasters and go-karts. The park does not have the capacity for their demand. They have way too many get-in for $7 tickets, which, if I can get on a side tangent there, when I got in, I paid only $7. However, you had to pay $20 to park. I think it should be more of the other way around, but that's my opinion. Anyway, the park needs to install some new and more high-capacity flat rides. The go-karts aren't enough capacity for the park, and the coasters, as I said, all run only 1 train. When they got rid of OPA, they got rid of their last coaster that ran multiple cars on a track. So here are just some of the flats that I'm going to suggest. A Zamperla Giant Sky Chaser. I have never been on this ride, and I have no idea exactly what type of ride it is. It looks like an enlarged Zamperla kite flyer, so if any of you have ridden this, please let me know how it is, and if it's a good flat ride. Another one, also by Zamperla, is a Zamperla Endeavor. If you don't know what it is, it's similar to Catwoman Whip at Six Flags Over Texas, or it's an Endeavor. If you know what an Enterprise is, or what Orbit is, or if you go to Cedar Point, what Witch's Wheel is, that's essentially it. It's kind of a vertical looping Ferris wheel. However, with this one, instead of sitting in cages, you sit in ski lift bicycle seats, 1 across or 2 across. And then you go upside down multiple times. It's a high-capacity flat ride, and, as I said, something this park desperately needs. Another one is that, excluding the water park, they have no water rides. I'm not making that up either, and I find that a little interesting. So I would like to see them add either a Zamperla Water Mania, which is basically a teacups with water, if you remember my Wild Adventures video, or a Mack Twist and Splash, which is just a larger, higher capacity version of the same thing. Again, these are good capacity flat rides, especially the Mack one, and this is something that the park needs. The final 3 are a little larger and a little less plausible, but I'm going to include them anyway because it's my pack, it's my video, I can do what I want. I'm going to suggest a drop tower, either by SNS, either by ARM, either by Fabry, either by Marsan, by Zamperla, or by Intamin. One thing that's pretty famous is the Falcon's Fury at Busch Gardens, Tampa, where instead of tilting you like 10 or 15 degrees, it completely tilts you 90 degrees, so you're staring down at the ground 300 feet below you. I don't know if this park can necessarily build up to 300 feet, because their website is terrible. I couldn't even find the height of their sky coaster, but I do know that Hades is approximately 156 feet. So if they can only build up to like 156 or even 150 or whatever, they can install this, and that'll give them that extra edge in order to make up for the lack of height. Another one is a Zamperla Giant Discovery. I've ridden this bleh. I've ridden this at Kennywood, and it was called Black Widow, and I found that ride to be extremely fun and extremely enjoyable, and I would like, if possible, every major theme park to get this ride. This ride is so much fun. It is much better than the Hoos Giant Frisbee versions. Um, it is better than the old school Hoos Frisbees where you sat inward, and it gives you good airtime and weightlessness. This is something that can carry about 800 riders an hour and is 146 feet. So, it's perfect for Mount Olympus. And the final one, it's another flat ride that I haven't ridden, but apparently this is like praised and beloved. Gerstlauer Sky Roller. I have no idea what this is, but apparently it's kind of like a flying scooters type ride, except you flip upside down. If anyone has been to Canada's Wonderland or the Mall of America and has ridden Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shell Shock, I believe, or Canada's Wonderland, the Skyhawk, I would like you guys to comment below to let me know if it's a good ride, a terrible ride, or if it's just an okay ride. These aren't necessarily rides to make the park stand out. These are rides that the park needs to have more people. Since 2005, I would argue that they have closed more rides than they have opened rides. Um they've even closed some of their go-kart tracks, so that should tell you the kind of quality the park is in. Number 3. Remember when I said I went in 2009 to ride their OPA coaster? I also They were also doing a special where you could get into both the indoor water park and the indoor theme park 1 day tickets. So I decided to deal with that, and my people that I was with that aren't the biggest fan of rides got spectator passes. Anyway, Medusa's indoor water park is very small and doesn't necessarily have a lot to do. They have two body slides, they have two tube slides, they have a lazy river, they have two whirlpools, an activity pool, and a kids play area for like under 48 or under 54 inches. I thought I was going to probably spend like half the day there. After about 3 hours, I was so bored that I that we just left early. So, and also considering the fact that Wisconsin isn't year-round weather and indoor water parks are very needed. I mean, just Google Wisconsin Dells indoor water parks and you'll see what I mean. So my number 3 is a Medusa Bay expansion. Here are 5 things that I would like to see them add. A tipping bucket play area. Not something for the under 54, under 48, but something for the entire family. Something big and huge. Like, chances are if you go to any water park, they have a tipping bucket family play area with several small slides and overall just general wackiness. I would also like to see them add a Pro Slide Hydro Rocket Slide, or a Master Blaster of some kind. Something that can go, and they really need to kind of expand and go outside of the building because all of the slides are inside and it makes the park very small and very limited in land space. But yeah, a rocket slide that can go up and down hills, obviously enclosed on the outside portions, is something that would help this park stand out much more. Um, a general Pro Slide raft ride. They do have two raft rides, and when I'm talking about raft rides, I'm talking about like those 4 to 6 people circular rafts. But I would like to see them add one for the indoor water park. Also considering how the Parthenon indoor theme park, I'll get to that next, has been kind of abandoned. The park needs more indoor attractions, especially for their 2,000 plus hotel guests, especially during the winter. Um, Two more Pro Slide things. A Pro Slide Tornado. Chances are if you go to any water park, you know what this is. It's a half pipe funnel slide that Pro Slide calls a tornado. It can carry about 8 it can carry 6 to 800 or so riders an hour, and as I said, it's something that the park could desperately need. Finally, a Pro Slide Behemoth Bowl. If you know what a bowl slide is, where you go down a drop and then you circle around inside a bowl for a couple of minutes or for a couple of seconds, it's essentially that, except instead of being in one tube or being on your back, you're in a four-person raft. This is uh Bahari, I believe, at Holiday World is an example of this. Uh, Wisconsin gets cold. They have a lot of resort guests. Indoor water parks can stay open no matter what. So, yeah, Medusa Bay Indoor Water Park expansion. Number 2, Parthenon refurbishment. Remember when I said that the indoor water park is pretty much the only indoor thing now? Well, because of the OPA incident and probably just overall they don't care, they have taken out a majority of the indoor rides and have since scattered them throughout the park. It's kind of dumb, and what's also dumb is what they've replaced some of their indoor attractions with. For example, they replaced a disco flat ride with a sock vending machine. I'm not making that up. They replaced their Opa spinning coaster. Keep in mind this is inside an indoor build. This is inside a building. They replaced it with picnic tables with umbrellas. I'll let that sink in. Anyway, the Parthenon is this, I would say probably acre sized, 45,000, somewhere around there, sized building. So I'm given a three choice answer for what number 2 should be. Either flat rides, a new coaster, or a dark ride. Here's what I would suggest for the flat rides. A chance wipeout. This doesn't cost a whole lot of money, it has high capacity, and do I need to say anything else? Next up, Chance Freestyle. From what I can tell, this is pretty much like a former Chance Chaos, except that this one has been redesigned and been re-engineered for a modern generation. Again, high capacity flat ride, something the park could use. A Tilt-A-Whirl. Do I need to say anything else? It's a family ride that has high capacity. And number 1, a Zamperla Rockin' Tug. Again, it's a family-friendly attraction. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It isn't that tall. And while it's not high capacity, it's something that could disperse some lines. Part 2! The next 2 would be a roller coaster inside the building. I have 2 ideas for this one. Either a Gerstlauer or Mack spinning coaster, where for a Mack version, if you've been on Sierra Sidewinder at Knott's Berry Farm, you know what I'm talking about. And for Gerstlauer, if you've ever been to a Six Flags park and you rode something called Pandemonium, that's exactly what it is. It's a regular spinning coaster. It can be customized, and it's not very high capacity, which means there's a chance Mount Olympus will probably buy this. Gerstlauer Bobsled Coaster. This is pretty similar in layout, I guess, to the spinning coasters, except the thing with this one is that you don't spin. Considering the controversy and the injury of the OPA coaster, they would probably maybe be better off adding this version rather than a spinning coaster, because if they add a spinning coaster, just like with my Worlds of Fun video when I suggested a Pro Slide Rocket Slide, that might be a little controversial because the memory of a Master Blaster killing someone is still fresh in people's minds, sadly and unfortunately, and my heart goes out to the family and the people that were injured. Number 1! A Triotech or Sally Interactive Dark Ride. You've got a big building, and really it's just a building. There's nothing special inside it. Um, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it leaks in there. But you've got a building, so why not turn it into a new dark ride? Considering the mythological and Greek theming, um, there's probably 150 themes you could probably choose regarding an interactive dark ride. Maybe you're trying to take down Triton. Maybe you're trying to, uh, I don't know, beat. Maybe you're trying to save Hercules or something. Maybe you're Hercules and you're trying to go through the 12 labors. I have no idea, but surely something like this can be added. Pick your choice. Number 1. A new steel coaster. I already talked about earlier about how I said that when you think of carts and coasters, the two things you think about are go-karts and coasters. And then when I said Mount Olympus Water and Theme Park, the three things you think of are water park, roller coasters, and go-karts. Well, if you honestly take, yeah, they have Hades, which is a pretty good ride. Um, Zeus has been kind of neutered because its former tree experience has been heavily neutered. Cyclops no longer has that ejector seat, and Pegasus, with the go karts removed up under it, kind of just bumps around and that's it. And it doesn't have huge drops. Of course, it was also a family ride when it was built, so you can't blame them for that. They also have I apologize. They have Little Titans, which is a Mylar Junior coaster where, although other places you can ride it if you're over 42 inches, at Mount Olympus you have to be under 58 inches. Fortunately, I was there in 2003 before that rule was established. So, yeah, they need a new coaster, and I have two ideas. One of them would be a Zamperla, and I'm going to call it a Thunderbolt coaster, which is a version of the Thunderbolt at Luna Park in Coney Island. I haven't been on that yet. Hopefully one day I will, but it looks pretty unique with a 90-degree lift, 90-degree drop, lap bars, and multiple inversions. It looks like a unique, crowd-pleasing attraction that Mount Olympus could probably use. Uh, don't even ask me what they could theme it to because honestly, I have no idea. I don't know. Yeah, I've got nothing. I'm trying to think of one. I got nothing. Also, a Gerstlauer Infinity coaster. Something that goes upside down multiple times and has several car lanes. Something like this, even if they built a Smiler clone or something similar to the Smiler with like 9 or 10 inversions, that would be something that would be marketable and brand new. That is something that the park needs, and that is something that Wisconsin overall needs. I apologize for being kind of cynical, snarky, and angry in this review, especially compared to my other reviews, but this is a park where I go to and I honestly don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy going to this park. I've been to well over 120 amusement parks in the United States, Canada, Mexico, and South Korea, and I can honestly tell you that this is probably one of the worst theme parks I have ever been to. I really I like the exterior. The rides and attractions, if you were to just look at a lineup, you'd be like, that sounds like a pretty good park. However, they have been managed to the point of being into the ground. Their safety records has taken a major attack. Uh, Guest relations, public relations, human resources, human relations. The fact that people can go on water slides in the middle of the winter just shows how badly maintained this park is and how overall it's unsafe it is. It's very rare that I ever leave a theme park angry, but this was one park that I left it just infuriated and just just angry. It was overcrowded, the lines were too long, the capacity was not there, food services weren't there, and overall, it just I don't know. I'm hoping Nicholas Scaris or who's ever the general manager or park president of Mount Olympus, I hope they listen to this video, watch this video, and I hope they take a few tips. I don't want a park to close. I just want this park to be better. That's all I'm asking. And I think they can stop buying hotels. They have like 10 now, okay? Can you please stop? Okay? This is... I'm Roller Coaster Rider. I have ridden over 600 coasters. I love amusement parks and roller coasters. I want this park to be good. I want the management to want to make this park good, and I don't want them to just take the cheap way out by buying a hotel, repainting it, and charging only $5 to get in. I want this park to do better, and that's what I've always wanted with every one of my top fives. Anyway, that's it for this top 5. Join me next time when, I think I've kind of been a little bit strong east of the Mississippi. I think I should go a little west of the Mississippi. Now, what's a park that could use some help? Let me see. Oh, yeah, that one. Bye!